His name's Aaron, and he forgot to take out the trash again.
His name's Tommy, and he's actually 2 kids in a Tommy suit.
And this is the Super Pod Saga. We're not alone today, though, on our Super Pod Saga. Today we've got a guest, and his name, you may remember him from an earlier episode. It's Bill. It's Bill from the Gaming and Collecting podcast. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Before we get too far into Super Pod Saga stuff, tell us. I'm sure you did this last time, but some people might not have heard you last time. So who are you? What's your podcast? What games do you like? All that good stuff.
Well, I'm Bill. I'm one of the 2 hosts of the Gaming and Collecting podcast. It's a gaming and anime-based nostalgia podcast where me and my sister Alex talk about a whole bunch of different video games and anime from our childhood, along with some modern stuff every now and then. I'm also an Instagram blogger. I show off my video game collection on Instagram every now and then, but other than that, I'm mostly known for the podcast these days.
Good stuff. So you and Aaron both collectors.
Bill's definitely way more than I am. He's got a Saturn, dude. He's got a Saturn and lots of Saturn games.
Ooh.
I also have a 3DO, so...
Ooh, that's super fun. I have an Atari that doesn't have any of the cables.
Nice.
If you are a first-time listener to the Super Pod Saga, this is a podcast where Aaron and I, and sometimes guests, talk about a different subject every week. We're going to talk about every single video game topic, and then we're just going to end the podcast once we're done talking about everything. And if people want to interact with us, Aaron, where can they find us on the internet?
Honestly, just go right to superpodsaga.com, and you'll find us on Twitter. Twitter is our main one. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Tumblr, but I forget about those a lot. I apologize, people who main those. But yeah, mostly Twitter. Superpodsaga.com. Short, sweet, to the point. And you can even find our PayPal and our Patreon if you want to leave us just a little bit of money and help out the show. But if not, that's cool too.
And you get rewarded for the Patreon. There's cool things that I don't remember what they are.
Yeah, I changed them just the other day too. There's a lot of neat stuff.
So get in now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you guys are Twitter famous now. So.
Yeah, we wrote that tweet about useless video game knowledge that blew up for no reason.
There's a lot of people that have been trying to steal your thunder with that. Like, there's that one I sent you yesterday where
my favorite part about that tweet is after you guys blew up, literally I noticed everybody was posting these like posts about these like random questions, and I'm like, everyone's trying to get on that real quick.
Yeah, there's a know your meme page where we're the start of the meme, like in their little chronology or whatever. So we're technically a meme, I guess.
Good thing that guy behind the meme isn't around anymore, because I'm sure he would have made an episode on you guys at some point.
So weird. We're in a weird world. I don't know if we'll ever have something to follow that up, but you know what? Things did have good follow-ups. Video game sequels. Oh man, yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Video game sequels. I guess to start, what do you guys look for? What makes a good sequel to you? What do you want from a sequel?
Bill, you can go first if you want, since you're our guest.
Yeah.
I guess to describe a sequel, like, to me, like, the perfect video game sequel is a game that takes everything that was good about the first game, expands upon all the positives, takes away the negatives, and fixes the negatives that didn't work and makes them work.
It's easy. Overall, it's that easy.
Yeah, if only. And just overall makes the game a much better package in the long run.
Yes.
That's kind of my thoughts on a sequel.
Could not agree more. That's essentially.
That's exactly what I had down. Exactly.
We're all in agreement. So I'm sure we all picked the same exact sequels. Let's see. So I picked this one, right?
Yes, sir.
That means I have to go first. That's how it works.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
Okay. I don't know why you're saying that, but I'm gonna keep going.
Yes, chef.
The first one that came to mind for me was Mass Effect 2, the sequel to Mass Effect 1. Man, talking about expanding. The Mass Effect 1 is a great game in its own right. It sets the foundation for like companions and building that trust and making choices. But there wasn't really a lot in terms of like main story missions. There's only like 5 or 6 in the main storyline that you have to do. And then Mass Effect 2 came out and was like, hey, go explore the whole galaxy. There's going to be dozens of systems and planets. You can't explore them like in Mass Effect 1, but like it's I don't know, when I played it for the first time, it felt like an accomplishment, like a technological accomplishment to just have this open-ended galaxy to explore, do whatever you want whenever you want, and it just more companions, more areas to explore. I just loved it. You played Mass Effect 2, right, Aaron?
Oh hell yeah, I did. Yep,
Yeah.
and that was when they introduced the much better cover system. Thank God.
And just combat in general was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned how they got rid of exploring the planets. Did anyone really miss that?
Yo, I did. I loved exploring the planets, but I'm a
tank
weirdo like that.
That tank was so sketchy to drive, though. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
somehow managed to like get
Nightmare.
it stuck upside down and like just broke. Granted, I was playing on the PS3, and the PS3 version of Mass Effect 1 was a broken mess. I somehow got the tank stuck on its roof, and it just was there forever. I was like, great.
So fun, man. That's just like the picture perfect sequel to me. Just expanded on everything. Loved all the characters. I got to continue the relationships with people that I started. That was really fun. Oh, good times.
Yeah, unless you were like an Ashley fan, then
Which I was not. I absolutely was not. She didn't make it into the sequel.
See, she was my favorite in the first game.
That's hilarious.
I was like, wow, they just completely shat all over that one.
Was good.
But they make up for it in 3, so.
Which I still haven't played.
What?
I
You haven't
know.
played Mass Effect 3?
No, I haven't.
You talk all about this series all the time and how much you love it.
I know,
What
but
the
I've
fuck?
never played Mass Effect 3.
Haven't you
I
played
keep
Andromeda?
starting whenever, like every couple of weeks, I start the trilogy over again. I'm like, this is the one that I'm going to go all the way through, and then I just drop out of it halfway through Mass Effect 2.
You never cease to amaze me,
I
Tommy.
know. What amazing sequel do you have, Aaron?
The first one I had down was it's a big one. It's Borderlands 2.
That's the sequel to
Yeah.
Borderlands 1, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
And it's exactly like Bill described earlier. It's one of those sequels that takes everything that the first game did, but Borderlands 2 cranks it all up to fucking 12. Like they really double down on the goofiness, like the silliness and the cell shaded visuals. They made those a lot better. And the cherry on top of all of it too is that they made the characters more fun to play, because like in the first game they were all kind of meh, because there was like the hunter who was just like, he's best with pistols and snipers and he has a fucking bird. And then there was like the commando who was like, he uses assault rifles and he fucking has a turret. But in the second game, the commando is basically the same thing. He has his turret, but like anybody can use any weapon, which is really cool. And they added a lot of just ridiculous, like over the top shit to all of the traits you can unlock in your skill trees. And my favorite character ever from the second game is still the Siren. I've got her to max level, still just sitting dormant on my Xbox, and it's just so much fun to just run through that game and just blast fucking bandits and shit to bits. And the skill trees are just so fucking robust and just so nice, and they had a lot of variety to how you can adjust your character and fine tune them to be this god of destruction, basically. And they also had a lot of cool character like cosmetic customization to your characters, because you could choose different color palettes for their armor and clothing, and you could add different like wigs or masks or hats to your characters. Like you could just make them look stupid and run around with like they get rainbow afro as the Siren and stuff like that. And yeah, Borderlands 2, it rocks. It's the best, man.
It sounds so crazy for you to be like, they had color customizations, but back then I'm sure it was super cool. Now it's like you can be Goku in Fortnite, do whatever you want. But
yeah,
exactly. They have a Magic the Gathering crossover in Smite. Like that still blows my mind.
Slipknot in Smite.
Oh yeah, that's alright. I forgot about Slipknot. RuneScape, they had a RuneScape crossover. Ninja Turtles, yeah, all that shit.
Do you have fun with Borderlands? Do you play it alone or do you play it with people?
I've mostly played it alone.
Oh,
but it is really, really fun when you play with other people, because especially when you're different characters and you can just kind of see how other characters work and be like, dude, I need to play the Gunzerker because he can hold two fucking you can hold like 2 rocket launchers and just end the world and just like break the game, and it's great.
Someone had a skill called Sexual Tyrannosaurus, and
that's the Gunzerker.
That's the biggest memory I have of that game because I didn't play much of it.
Yep, and he also had another skill called I Can Be Your Huckleberry.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
What about you, Bill? What was your first one?
Yeah, Bill.
So I made this list kind of last minute, but if I was gonna say a sequel that I think improved upon its predecessor significantly, so this one's a bit unorthodox because it's actually a third game in the series, because the second game was like a serious step back compared to the original, and that's Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
Ooh. Okay. Go on.
Essentially, that game took everything great about the original and improved upon it, and then fixed all the problems with its sequel, Partners in Time.
Yeah.
Kept the ideas from that game that worked, but then returned to all the positive ideas from the first game, and basically made the ultimate Mario and Luigi game, like probably the best Mario RPG there is at this point, depending on who you ask. And you got to play as Bowser, and probably like the best.
That was
probably
fun.
the best Bowser in the series, to be honest.
That was definitely fun. Oh man, I
agree.
Yes. At first I was like, oh, I don't know, because I'm a huge Superstar Saga fan. But comparing anything to Dream Team is or not Dream Team, Partners in Time. Excuse me, man. Partners in Time was a mess.
Yeah, it's like it's not a bad game, but it's just such a step back.
Yeah.
Because I actually played Partners in Time first, and then played Superstar Saga. And the funniest part about it was weird to me how much Superstar Saga didn't feel like a step back. It actually felt like a step forward.
It's wild. I don't even know how that happened. But yeah, Bowser's Inside Story. Did that have the big Luigi kaiju battles? Was that one, or was that a different one?
No, that was Dream Team.
That was Dream Team. Okay.
It had the giant Bowser fights. Yeah, it had like the random moments in the game where Bowser just gets freaking murdered, and then you have to bring him back to life as a giant Godzilla for no reason.
The best story.
Then it had then it even had. I really liked that Bowser's playstyle was dramatically different from when you're the bros, because instead of like the bros hopping and doing their little bros attacks and shit like that, Bowser is all about you can defend using his spiky shell and deal damage, or you could use his like fire breath. Yeah. Or his all of his bros attacks were instead like his little minions, like the Goombas and Paratroopas, and eventually you could get that
block dog.
Broggy, dude. Oh my god,
man,
that was so fun.
My favorite, that side quest is a pain, but it's so worth it in the end.
Definitely.
My favorite part too is like when you're playing as Bowser on the overworld, you'll like run into like these enemies that Bowser's just like massively like oversized, and he'll just like step on them and you'll just get a coin. But when you're on the overworld with Mario and Luigi, they're actually enemies you have to fight, which is kind of a cool touch.
Yeah, you could tell that they really just like actually put creativity and thought into everything. It's those small details that like games like Mario and Luigi really thrive on.
It's funny too because Dream Team was also a very well-made game, but it just did not have that same energy that like Bowser's Inside Story had. I think a lot of it had to do with Fawful not being around anymore.
Yeah.
And also the game's like massive holding your hand tutorials that like don't leave you alone for like the entire game.
I don't know. I like Mario and Luigi to me did a good job of like starting with a baseline thing, and then as you get more powerful, more techniques, it just like naturally builds on it. And Dream Team was just like, here's another tutorial, let's make sure you know how to do this before we set you out to solve this simple problem. And I was just like, stop.
I think so many people dropped that game after the first hour just because that first hour is so slow.
I did. I feel shame, but I did.
It's ironic though, because Bowser's Inside Story is a great game, but it did not need a remake.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Speaking of games that did get a remake and were also beloved, another one of my picks, I've talked about it too many times, but this is like the perfect episode for it. Pokemon Gold, everyone. Pokemon Gold built and expanded on Yellow and Blue so much. I won't go into too much detail, but they added like a day-night cycle. They added breeding and eggs. There was more HMs, 2 regions, 16 badges, more Pokemon, a cell phone. it was just like a endless stream of you got a cell phone before people even had like cell phones in real life. It was just like an endless stream of new features and cool things. It just felt like a bigger world with more stuff to do and more people to talk to, and it just blew my tiny child mind. I played that game to death, and I don't know if anything will live up to that experience of just finding the expanded world, and everything that you loved before is just better.
There's just something amazing about when you beat the champion, you beat Lance, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you remember the world that you've played through in the first game? Well, it's here, and you can explore it again.
Yeah, go back to your starting town, just go surf across the water, go check it out, buddy, and you're like, huh?
And then you get to you climb Mount Silver, and all of a sudden you face yourself from the first game.
Yeah, which my child brain didn't recognize that. I was like, who's this man?
That is such a good sequel.
Who's this guy?
Why are your Pokemon so strong?
My next pick is very, very divisive. But I'm just going to go out with it, dude. Final Fantasy X-2. I liked it. I mean,
the story's dumb, but the gameplay is significantly better.
It is. It's really fun. And I also... The only bad things I guess I really would have to say about it is, the story's dumb. And I don't really like that you have to go... Instead of going from one place to the next, you just pick missions. But overall, it's a fun game because, I mean, sure, you just have only the 3 party members, but you can customize the shit out of them with their with the whole dress sphere system, and they have all sorts of neat, like, unique classes. Some of the little controls that you can input during combat, like when I forgot what Yuna's gunner class was called, but you have the trigger happy ability where you just tap R1 a bunch and do as much damage as possible, and it was. I thought it was really fun, and that they kind of dumbed down the sphere grid a little bit, but they still made it really good. The garment grid is just there's
grid,
a lot
is that really
less.
What it's called?
Yeah, garment grid. Because
Amazing.
it has to go with their dress spheres or whatever.
Yeah, they also brought back the ATV combat system, but they just made it like faster and more fun.
ATV combat system. I've only played like one Final Fantasy game 3/4 of the way through, so I just love hearing all this nonsense. I love it.
So I guess to explain it, the ATV system was the combat system first introduced in Final Fantasy IV, and it was kept from 4 all the way till 9. But it was essentially it's your standard turn-based fare, but like the whole gimmick of it is that combat is always active. So if you're one of those people that like doesn't pay attention, the enemies will just keep attacking you. There's no actual waiting unless you set it for like wait mode. And it adds a bit more strategy to the entire thing. It's a fun system.
It's awesome.
I heard ATV, so I thought you were talking like all-terrain vehicle, like four-wheelers. So I thought you meant there was like 4-wheeler combat in it. And I was like,
no.
I know there's like water soccer. Maybe they do ATV battling too.
Yeah, Blitzball.
So
I meant ATV.
Did Final Fantasy X end on its own and like, hey, you could see a sequel coming, or was it like, this is so popular we need to make another one?
Maybe kind of. I'm not really sure how they came up with the idea for 10-2, but yeah, like 10-2 takes place maybe like just a few years after 10. Yeah. And there's like a hidden ending where spoilers for Final Fantasy X-2. There's a hidden ending where you can meet Titus or Titus again. I've always called him Titus. Sorry, you can crucify me later.
Yeah. The original game ended on a kind of like sad note too, because like Titus literally just disappears.
Oh, dang! Hate when that happens.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, 10-2 spoiler or Final Fantasy X spoilers, everybody. Sorry.
I mean, it's a decade-old game at this point.
I know. Oh boy, but yeah, no, everybody. A lot of people hated that game. But or a lot of people hated Final Fantasy X too, I should say. But no, I think it was fun. God damn it!
When you come to the Final Fantasy series, everybody hates it for like some reason.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of people hate Final Fantasy VII just because it's so popular. But like, no, it's a good game. Like,
it's popular, so I must
be
hate
rude.
It.
I mean, my favorite is the most polarizing in the series. So
which one?
Which one is that?
Final Fantasy VIII.
Ah.
Well, actually,
I don't know enough.
It's probably the second most polarizing because 13 is probably the most polarizing at this point. But
That's true. I have a good friend of mine back in my Sioux City days really, really loved Final Fantasy 13, and he brought up a lot of good points about it that I forgot. But yeah, they're all cool in their own way. I like the combat and like the paradigm system in Final Fantasy 13. We'll talk about that another time, though. It is every installment is good in itself.
We should probably have a Final Fantasy episode at some point.
Yeah, we should, except for 2. I don't like 2.
Yeah, no one really likes 2.
Don't like 2.
Unless you're like, you don't follow the series and you think 2 is 4, but that's besides the point.
Oh man!
All right,
what's your next one, Bill?
Another one. So my favorite game of all time, I should probably talk about. I think Persona 4 is a significantly better sequel to Persona 3.
Damn it! I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Aaron's just sitting there sweating, like, "Don't say it! Don't say it!"
No.
Well,
I'm
it's
glad
a bit subjective because some people prefer the story in 3, but I think in terms of gameplay, 4 completely blows 3 out of the water. Like,
yeah.
The biggest thing is you're allowed to control your party members now, which is just already makes the game superior in my opinion. I honestly prefer the more upbeat and less depressing story compared to 3. I love exploring Inaba, talking to I love the characters.
Yes.
The game has
this small town.
The game has such no, it's all good. The game has such like a sunshine and rainbows kind of like mood to it too. Like everything is so positive and happy, despite the fact that it's a murder mystery game when you really think about it. But it also has those depressing, like punch you in the gut moments later on. It's honestly, you can tell that everything about this game was superior to 3 because when 3 Portable came out a few years later, they literally took all of 4's improvements and just put them in 3 Portable.
Oh, fun. So
yeah,
I've only played a little bit of Persona 5, and it gives you the option of controlling your party members or not. Is that because of the difference in 3 and 4 that you mentioned?
Yeah, in 3 you could not control your party members at all. That's
what I prefer.
I don't know. If you play 3, you'll understand why no one likes it.
Hard.
Even in like what's the Dragon Quest where you don't control your party members, I was like, thank goodness, that takes away all of my. I just need to focus on one person, one thing, because I don't play a lot of JRPGs.
God damn it, Tommy.
Yeah, in Persona 3, you'll have moments where you'll be like about to critically die, and you really need a healing, and the party member will decide, I'm gonna go attack the boss. And
yes.
It's like, no, it's like
chaos.
Love of God.
This is the episode where Aaron stops respecting me.
Well, no, I'll always respect you, Tommy, even if your little quirks are just fucking hilarious. Oh boy. No, yeah, I really love Small Town Inaba. It's the best setting in like any JRPG.
There needs to be more small towns.
Yeah.
It's very small and like super easy to explore. You'll never get lost because there's only literally like 3 different areas you can really explore.
Yeah, and like I think it was Persona 3 and like Persona 5, they have that big world map. You can like I guess just so you don't get lost, yeah, you can hop from like circle to circle to find your way around and go to different places. But yeah, it's so easy to just be like, I need to go to the shopping district to buy stuff, or like I want to go home, and like that was it. Or I guess Junes was, no, that wasn't in the shopping district, was it? I don't remember.
No, it was its own little area.
Okay, yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, like you had the river, little like flood bay zone area, the town shopping district, and then the school. Those were really the 3 big exploration areas.
God, what a good game.
Excellent.
Tommy, I recommend you play
Personas. I got a lot of JRPGs to catch up on.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
I'm probably the biggest Persona 4 stan on the internet, so
if I ever play and I have questions, I'll turn to you. And you'll be like, really? You don't know how Speaking of JRPGs, my next pick is the JRPG classic Red Dead Redemption 2.
Perfect.
Gosh, man. My Red Dead Redemption was hugely important to me back then. When was that? Like late high school? Just because it was like the first open world game that I got into. I know there were open world games before then, but that one was the first one I played where I was like, there are people in here that are just living their lives, and there are things that you can go and experience that aren't even like a part of a mission or anything. It's just a living, breathing world. And Red Dead Redemption 2 jump that notch up to 13, higher than 12. And is just such a wonderful. Like, I didn't even really care about doing the missions and stuff because I just loved. I just woke up in my camp, did the chores around the camp, went to I didn't know where else to bathe, so I'd go to the hotel to make myself clean. Just living the life of a cowboy, man. So it was so satisfying. They like it's crazy because like Red Dead Redemption is almost like a GTA like game where there's like mission points and stuff, and you get to collect money to buy different things. And this one's they like really put a lot of thought about what life would be like as a cowboy and how you would do that. And I don't know if you saw, Bill, but I tweeted out about how when I played the game, I didn't fast travel because cowboys could not fast travel, and I didn't know that tapping A would make your horse sprint, so I just did a slow gallop or slow jaunt, whatever, everywhere in the entire game. So
it is such a pretty game too.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Everything looks so good.
It still baffles me that was the only game Rockstar made during that entire generation.
Yeah. And
other than working on 5 for like 50 years, but
yeah. And they were gonna make a update for the Series X PlayStation 5, but they were like, nah, never mind. So now it's gonna be 30 FPS forever, baby.
I think we talked about it in episode 18, the best game world to explore. But
yeah,
there need to be more Wild West games.
Yeah,
like, didn't we talk about like not counting Wild Arms, but doing like a turn-based cowboy RPG game, or like
I was gonna say, isn't that Wild Arms?
Yeah, or like cowboy games in like different genres.
Yes,
like,
I just want more genres in that area or that time frame.
Oh, like a town building sim, but you manage like a big old like Wild West town. Like that'd be fucking sick.
I just want like a ranch simulator. I just want to run my own ranch, but it actually be like not just the farming, but like you actually have to worry about cowboy stuff and I don't know, man. It's like hard to describe.
Like
I just want more.
Stardew Valley, right? Maybe.
No. I want it to be like Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. My words are escaping me.
No worries. Speaking of cowboy games, we'll go with Golden Sun: The Lost Age. That's
Golden Sun's an interesting one because I think those games were meant to be one game at one point.
Yeah,
maybe?
Basically, because like the Lost Age takes place immediately after the first game. Because like the first game, when it ends, you're on top of Venus Tower, and Alex is a butthole, and the tower like collapses, and the Earth basically splits in half or some shit, and then. Yeah, and then in the second game, you wake up with was it Felix and Jenna, and then you find basically it takes everything that was like the first game was already fucking awesome and perfect, and then it somehow makes it even better because it makes the puzzles a little bit more difficult and really makes you think more, gives you a whole new cast of characters because what is it? Felix is Felix Jenna's brother? I think so. Yeah, Felix. He's your Earth adept for the second game, and he's Jenna's brother. Jenna's the fire adept, blah, blah, blah. And there's Piers, who's just like some fucking convict you rescue. And then there's Sheba, she's your Mercury wind adept and all that shit. But then they add like a lot more to Jin, and they make their effects just so fucking different. And they add like a bunch of summons, and they make the game actually just I don't think it was a lot longer than the first game, but it was a little bit longer. And yeah, everything about the second game was just so fucking good. I really wish that they would bring those to Switch one of these days. Because I mean, sure, I could just boot up the fucking Wii U that's in my living room and buy it on the virtual console real quick before it shuts down. But I would much prefer to have it in here in my office on my Switch and play 1 and 2 whenever. That'd be cool.
Maybe Nintendo will eventually give us that GBA like app that they've been saying.
Gosh,
to the Switch.
I would love that.
I would play Superstar Saga for the 30,000th time if they brought it to Switch on the GBA thing.
I've been playing the first Fire Emblem for the first time in my life on just a phone emulator. If I could play
the first Fire Emblem or the 7th Fire Emblem?
The first English one.
Okay, so Fire Emblem 7.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that one's great too. That's a great game.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm very surprised. But that's not I guess it's technically a sequel, but I'm only partway through.
It's actually a prequel, believe it or not.
Even better.
All right, Bill, what you got for your next one?
So I'm gonna move away from JRPGs, and I'm gonna go with an action adventure game, Uncharted 4.
Ooh.
All right.
So it's kind of shocking
Aaron's
because a lot
favorite
of people.
series.
I love Uncharted, but
I've never played them. Go ahead though.
they're worth a shot. But so a lot of people say like Uncharted 2 is like a perfect game, and that's like where the peak of the series. But I actually think Uncharted 4 like just topped everything. Like, because the series ended with 3 on a very positive note, and I didn't really think it needed to go any farther.
Yeah.
But somehow 4 managed to like go beyond the ending of 3 and just give it an even better final conclusion.
Oh, cool.
To the series. And in terms of gameplay, so Uncharted 4 was actually made by the Last of Us team, because the original Uncharted team had disbanded by that point. And the Last of Us guys actually added a whole lot of fun, like new gameplay mechanics. Like you got this awesome like a grappling hook thing, so you can like explore areas and like swing across these big expanses.
Nice.
The game worlds are so freaking massive. Like there was a point later in the game where like you're going through this spoiler warning, like this pirate colony, and you look in the background, you see like all these like houses that look like really cool and explorable, and then like an hour of gameplay later you realize you're in those same houses that you were looking at earlier. It's huge and massive. The story is really fun, and it just ends on such a positive conclusion. Plus it has like the great dialogue that the series has always been known for. I always say like it's probably the best in the series in my opinion.
That one was a PlayStation 4 one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's why I wonder if that's why. Was it early in the PlayStation 4 life cycle too?
It was like kind of like in the middle of the first half, like towards
the
end of the first half. Yeah.
I also love Uncharted 2. That was one of my favorite games of all time for a long time, and I never played Uncharted 4 because I never got a PlayStation 4. I'm wondering if that's kind of part of it, just being like, oh, you got to buy a whole new console. But I'm sure there were people that actually did that, not just me. Man, what a great series.
It is. I know some people hate it. It's very, like a lot of modern games, especially like PlayStation style games. It's very, you either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I greatly enjoy like it's really the dialogue and world building that makes me love those games. Plus, I love the platforming and just exploring. Honestly, I think the weakest aspect of those games is the combat, but I mean, that's here or there. It's not awful, but it's not amazing either.
Yeah, I feel like you either buy into exactly what it's trying to be or you're skeptical of it. Like in, gosh, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3, when it's like, here's the big monster Yetis you're fighting, and you're like, either like all on board, like, hell yeah, let's shoot some Yetis, or you're like, this is stupid. Why are there Yetis here? You know?
Hell yeah.
Every single game has that one random like moment where it's like, what the hell is this? This completely changed the realism of the game.
And I'm fine with that.
Are those games, are they more like platformy, or are they more like third-person shootery?
Both.
They're an even mix of both.
It's 50-50.
It's like they've always sounded fun, but I've just never gotten around to them. But like I don't hate them. I've just never played them, although they do sound pretty fun.
I mean, thankfully now there's the awesome Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, and then you can get the 2 PS4 games in a bundle as well for like really cheap these days.
That's cool.
Should we do an ad break? Is it time for an ad break?
I think so. I'm 3 in. I think we should all be 3 in.
Yeah, we are.
We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, we'll be right back.
Have you ever been in a situation where you could have used just a little bit more water?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to introduce you to powdered water. Powdered water is just dehydrated water. Just add water and you'll have more water.
Like mashed potatoes?
Basically, yeah. I've asked so many times and I still don't understand it. All I know is that it works. It's just dehydrated water in a powdered form. It even comes in a cool carry container, a bottle, if you will. You can even use it in the powdered form if you want to. You could pour some Cheerios into it. You could pour like a packet of Kool-Aid into it, shake it up, have like a powdered Kool-Aid drink, pour some sugar too. It's great.
Aaron, can I freeze this powder into a cube shape?
Yeah, you sure could. Just pack it on in. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, there's a lot of other neat things you can do with it too. You could fill up a pool with it if you wanted to, because it's maybe dehydrated, but I mean it's still water technically. So yeah, fill up a pool with it, a bathtub, pour it on yourself to take a shower. It
That's
might
what I
not
was
clean you
thinking.
might not clean you off as well as actual, hydrated water would, but hey, it's water.
Or throw it in someone's face, and they'd be like, "What is this? Why did you dump powder?" And then throw water in their face, and they're like, "Oh, you scamp! It's powdered water, dehydrated water."
That's right, and it's the only powder that hydrates you. That's it. It's powdered water, everybody. It's water. Technically, it's water.
Okay, we're back. Are we back?
Yes, and we're
The
back.
camera's rolling.
Yeah, yep, the camera's rolling.
Okay, my next pick for sequels that I like. I'm gonna go a bit crazy. This one has a 2 in the title. It's Portal 2, the sequel to Portal.
Ooh.
I'll admit I didn't play Portal 1 all the way through. I got stuck on a puzzle and moved on. But I played all of Portal 2 in like one day. It's such a creative game with like everyone knows Portal has the portal guns, right? You shoot holes in the walls and you walk through it. But they were like, what if you had different goop that does different properties? What if you had goop that makes you slide, goop that makes you bounce? And like you're not just in these white rooms, you're going all around the Aperture Science area trying to solve puzzles in areas that weren't even like meant for puzzles. And it's got Cave Johnson. He's awesome. And you carry GLaDOS around in a potato. And spoilers, you go to the moon for a brief second. It's great. It's so great. They took this idea from Portal. They took this idea from Portal 1. That's just like, wouldn't it be cool if you had a portal gun? And they just blew it up in every best amazing way. I'm so sad there hasn't been like anything else.
Well, like, you got to remember, Valve can't count past 2.
I know,
so.
I know. It's unfortunate. They need to hire someone who can do that.
Yeah, I've never played Portal 2, but it does sound cool.
You'd like it. I think it's perfectly your sense of humor too.
Yeah,
with GLaDOS and a potato.
Yeah. The puzzles are like are fun enough, but it's really the characters and like what's happening in the background that really makes that game so charming.
Wheatley, right? That's the name of your little companion dude. Is that right?
Yeah, who becomes the villain later on.
Yeah. And the space.
I just like Cave Johnson.
Man.
That guy's Cave Johnson's the best part of that game.
Aaron, let me sell you on it. There's a little floating robot guy. All he wants to do is go to space. That's all he talks about is going to space. And he's just
That's you.
I know, it's me. and it's just you're carrying him around trying to do these puzzles. He's like, "Are we going to space? Are we going to space yet? Is this space? Are we at space right now?" Just so fun.
Dude, I need to play this game. I think it was a game with gold on Xbox not too long ago. I think I might have it. I'm gonna play it tomorrow.
Yes, excellent. Skip out on work, ignore your children, play Portal 2.
My favorite part too is like the first game ended with the song "Still Alive," which was basically just GLaDOS like gloating that she didn't die, and then the second game ends with "Want You Gone," where she's basically just like, "Get the hell out of here! I'm done with you."
That's good.
I'm gonna break the mold a little bit. I'm gonna go with the third installment. Can you guess what it is? Anybody? Sorry,
Assassin's Creed 3.
No.
No.
No, it's Gears of War 3.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a good pick.
Okay.
Yeah, Gears of War 3. I used to be the biggest Gears fan. Well, not the biggest, but I used to be a pretty big Gears fan. And so the first game was already really good. And then the second game blew it up even more, and it was great. And then in the third game, really the story was one of the best parts of the game, absolutely, because it was basically supposed to be the end to it was supposed to be just like a trilogy of Gears, and it was supposed to be the end to the whole fucking thing. Before they revived it with 4 and everything, and Judgment was a prequel, but they added a lot of new weapons, like the Dagger. They added new grenades. They added all sorts of cool shit.
Did that one have the knife lancer, or was that a different one?
That was Judgment. Yeah, that was Judgment.
Oh,
did that.
Bad.
Or no, maybe they had it in 3. I don't remember, because that was the prototype lancer or something like that. But then they added just a lot of cool shit on top of the horde mode, which was really, really cool. That I must have put hundreds of hours into that shit, because me and a buddy would just come over and we'd play that for hours, and it was just so much. And they added the ability to swap weapons and ammo between players, so just anywhere at all at any time you could just swap weapons with somebody, and it was cool.
It had such visceral combat. The whole series did, but just like pumping bullets into people and having chunks fly off and going in with your chainsaw gun and just cutting people in half as your guy is screaming. It's just Man, that's combat.
Yeah, it was super cool too because what was it? The game first starts off. You're in this like basically like a I guess like a new home for humanity. It's just this giant fucking ship. Because at the end of the second game, you basically blew up where humanity used to live or whatever. And yeah, just the lore and story of the whole fucking series is just so cool because
Yeah.
eventually you learn that the Locust, what is it? They're being run out of their home by the Lambents.
Yep.
The Locust horde just wants they just want a place to live, man. They just want to live. Just want some place to go. And humanity's like, no, you can't come up here. And then we're just being dickholes to them, so they're being dickholes to us. And
then everyone loses.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, it's the multiplayer I used to play a lot of, but then like everybody just used the Nasher shotgun all the time, and all it takes is just one blast to the face and you'd be fucking dead. So I stopped playing it. But the horde mode was that was the chef's kiss. I
forgot how big that was, that they invented the horde mode and every game had a horde mode.
It was awesome. And then there was a mode where you could play as the Locust, and that was super fucking cool. You could be a boomer, you could be a wretch, you could be, what is it, a drone? You could be all. I think you could be a Brumach at some point, and that was super cool. But yeah, that was
no way, that's awesome.
That was a big old sloppy tongue kiss to the chef, man. That was so fun.
What about you, Bill? What sequel do you want to give a big sloppy kiss to?
What were we gonna say though before Tommy cut you off? Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say those games are really fun, but they also were the start of the gray era of video games where everything was brown and gray for no reason.
Yeah.
Good times. But also, so I guess next sequel I want to talk about. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money to enjoy this one, but Lunar 2.
Oh yeah, and that one. Was that Eternal Blue, or was Eternal Blue the first one?
No, Lunar 2 is Eternal Blue.
Okay.
And it was originally a Sega CD game, and it later saw a PlayStation 1 remake. It essentially, Lunar 2 took everything that Lunar 1 did and just honestly made it better. Like, the characters were so much more interesting and like expansive to follow. The world was so big and just fun to explore. The combat was, like, in my opinion, a bit smoother and more evened out. And honestly, really, to me, the reason I prefer 2 over 1 is just the story is just so fun and like engaging to follow. It's like a quintessential RPG for the time, even though it's but expensive these days.
Was that the one that got remade into like the Silver Star or something like that?
So this is where it's kind of tragic. There's only 3 games in the 3 technically games in the series. The first one was Lunar the Silver Star. That was remade into Lunar Silver Star Story. And then it was remade again into Lunar Legend. And then it was remade again into Silver Star Harmony. Lunar 2 has, on the other hand, has only been remade once. It was the original game was just Lunar Eternal Blue, and then the sequel was Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. But Lunar 2 has not seen any other sequels or remakes since, making it... Unfortunately, the problem with Lunar 2 is it came out very late on the Sega CD's life, so nobody bought it, and that's why it's super expensive. And then the remake came out very late into the PlayStation 1's life, so nobody bought it, and that's why it's really expensive.
Guess I'll have to emulate it. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, the Sega CD version is much easier to emulate than the PS1 version, but they're both perfectly fine games.
Which one is the better one? If I was going to, I mean, I know you said the Sega CD is easier to emulate, but
depends on your preference. Some people prefer the Sega CD version. Some people prefer the PlayStation version. They're both pretty much identical otherwise.
Right on. I'll do them both.
Wonderful. I only have one more. I hope that's okay with everyone. One more sequel. Ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Assassin's Creed 2, baby. I should stop ending every sentence with baby. I feel like I do that a lot.
No, I think that's the first time you've done it this whole recording.
Excellent. Cool. So I'm just overthinking things. Assassin's Creed 2, I didn't like Assassin's Creed 1. It was very slow paced, and back then I was like, I'm an action boy. I want action in my video games. And Assassin's Creed 2 provided me that in an open world, and again, just it was so fun exploring that place, and that was one of the first games I like went back to get all the collectibles, all the stupid think that one had the feathers. Yeah. And it had it had like these holes that you could crawl into that would do like the glyph puzzles or whatever. And I had a notebook because there were like hidden messages, hidden letters, and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out, find all the secret messages and stuff. It really surprised me because I went into it being like, oh, this is a game where I'm gonna assassinate people, but there was so much more stuff to do. They just fleshed it out with tons of things, and I really, really enjoyed that in my Assassin's Creed 2 games, doing things other than assassinating.
That is a good one.
Boy, that series sure has gone on to be way different than that.
I still have yet to actually sit down and play this series. It's been on my backlog forever.
Oh, and it's just going to get further because they keep making them.
Yeah. I mean, some of them I'm going to skip because I heard Unity's a dumpster fire. And
yeah, absolutely.
I've heard the new ones are good, but they're just too big for their own good, and they don't really have a lot going on.
Oh my gosh, 1,000%. I tried playing the Greece one, and I played for like 20 hours and had discovered like 10% of the map.
I know 4 is like considered like a really good pirate game, but not a great Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, it's, man, like, I'm curious. The rumors are that the next one is going to go back to like Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood style, and I'm like, I'd love that. That sounds great, but I'm wondering how the general public is going to take it now that they've been like, these last few have been massively open world with RPG elements and stuff.
I think they'll be fine with it because I think a lot of people are just tired of it at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Not to brag, but I have every achievement in Assassin's Creed 2 on the
Whoa,
on the old Xbox 360. I think
I'm royalty
a cool guy. Cool kid. That's me. Speaking of cool kids and cool kid things, I originally wanted to do SteamWorld Dig 2 as my last pick, but I've already talked about that on an episode and how great it is. If you haven't played it, play SteamWorld Dig 2. It's one of the best Metroidvanias ever. But I've got two I'm deciding between, and I think I'm going to go with Batman Arkham City, actually, because that's a really good game.
Yes.
Literally taking a great game and just making it better in every way.
Yeah.
Exactly, because Arkham Asylum was already so good. Like little I wouldn't say puzzles, but like the collectibles, little Riddler question marks, like they were super fun to find, and the villains were cool. Everything about Arkham Asylum was cool, and then Arkham City just blew it the fuck up. It was so much more open, and traversal was way more smooth and fun, and then they made the collectibles even more fun because they were some of them were really, really tricky, and they had a lot of DLC. Like there was the DLC where you could play as Catwoman. There was a lot of other cool shit they added along with, like, there were different Batman costumes. Like you could play as like Batman Beyond, Gotham by Gaslight, or there were like a bunch of other really cool ones. And that was the first one actually in the series I'd played because I got it at Walmart on Black Friday so many moons ago, and I was like, this is great. I wonder what the first game is like. And I got the first game and I was like, wow, this is not as good, but it's great.
Yeah, I played Arkham Asylum first and then didn't get all the way through Arkham City, but man, I loved. Who would have thought that they would have been like, we're making a Batman game and it's actually going to be awesome, and it's going to be great combat, great exploration, great story. Like, how do you do that?
I'm struggling to think of another good superhero game, not counting like Ultimate Alliance.
I mean,
or Spider-Man, I guess.
I mean, Spider-Man 2 is usually considered the best.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of Batman games, I mean, it's tough because they're so hit or miss. The ones based off the animated series, I guess, were okay. They weren't great, but they were passable, I guess. These changed like the entire landscape of like superhero games entirely. I mean, because like now you've got like the Spider-Man games which have been taken over and everything.
Yeah,
it's funny too because the Batman Arkham Asylum was like one of the final things DC did before they rebooted their universe, so it's actually pre-reboot too, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
The combat was cool because it's basically just like one big puzzle. It's like, okay, well there's 3 dudes coming at me. I guess I'll stun this first dude, punch this second dude a couple times so he's kind of pushed back, and then this other guy, I'm just gonna throw him at a fucking wall, and then you batarang another guy, and then you're basically picking off dudes one by one. And then those like stealth segments, oh man, I already gave away my sloppy wet kiss to the chef, so I'm just gonna find another chef and French him. But those little stealth segments were so much fun, just being as creative as possible to pick off dudes one by one. And
I know it's a joke phrase, but it really did make you feel like Batman.
like a fucking ninja. Basically, it was just so good.
God, I wish that team could literally take their experience and try and make a Superman game, because I just want someone to see if they can make a good one, because it's.
I love that it's untouchable. The Superman as a video game is just like no one wants to even try.
Well, it's like you look at the Superman games and like there's only 2 of them that are considered passable, and that's like that beat 'em up on the Super Nintendo, and the one on GameCube was, I guess, okay.
It's been a while since we've had a Superman game.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
I think the last one was like Superman Returns on Xbox 360.
Oh, movie tie-in games. Gotta love them.
I don't think they've ever made. I don't know how many Aquaman games there are, but I remember there was that one on the GameCube.
The one on
Notorious.
But it was a piece of fucking trash.
DC put out 3 games around that time. It was that Aquaman game. There was that Batman Dark Tomorrow game, which was awful, and Superman Man of Steel on Xbox, which was also awful.
I love that those games were like, obviously they were selling enough for them to continually make movie and TV tie-ins. Like, sure, they're awful, but the audience was there apparently.
They also probably didn't cost much to make.
True.
Ooh, what I also love about the Arkham series is that the combat system was basically recycled into other games, like the Shadow of Mordor series.
Yep.
They use it for that. There's another series that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Dark Souls. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I'm joking.
Tommy, stop it.
Dark Souls combat was influenced by Arkham.
There's another series that they used it in. I can't remember it. Bill, go ahead with your next one while I think.
Okay, so this one is a bit of a jump, but I'm gonna. I in my opinion, I think this is a good like sequel. Super Mario Odyssey as a sequel to Super Mario 64.
Yes, I agree. I will back you up on that.
Like, to me, Super Mario Odyssey, in my opinion, is a perfect video game. Like, it literally, everything about that game is phenomenal. And it literally took the whole idea of Mario 64 and just expanded it to this, like, massive open world style Mario game that, like, I still haven't finished it yet because I'm trying to 100% it, and, like, it just takes so long because you got to explore every nook and cranny of all those worlds, and they're all so interesting and unique. Like, it actually made the desert gimmick interesting.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to do, especially for Mario standards.
I really appreciated with Odyssey, you know, like if I'm a kind of person who likes to explore every nook and cranny, and in a lot of games you'll accidentally end up somewhere you're not supposed to be and there actually isn't anything there. But in Mario Odyssey, there's so many places where it's like, oh, you explored over here? Cool, have a moon. And I love that.
Or my favorite is like in the 3rd level where you accidentally fall down that pit and then suddenly you're in this underground area. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like that's where everything is.
Yeah.
And there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex down here for some reason. That's such a great game. And like I feel like Sunshine and the Galaxy games like tried to be sequels, but they kind of just became their own thing.
Oh, absolutely.
As they went on. Like Odyssey is the first one that really feels like a true successor to 64 in a lot of ways.
And it's gorgeous too. Really, like I don't know, man. We're late in the Switch life cycle, so things are kind of rougher frame rate wise or graphics wise. But that one, even just early on, looked so good, and it was so smooth to play and do all the moves and stuff. Ooh, buttery.
It still looks good.
Dude.
Yeah,
it still looks good, to be honest.
That move set is so like it seems really basic, but it's there's so many layers to it, dude. Because you can jump, throw your hat, bounce off your hat, do a dive, do another jump, and then throw your hat again. And there's so many ways to break the game and just get to like kind of like Mario 64. You could totally get to things that you weren't meant to get to. And oh my gosh, yeah, that was a really fun game. Getting all those moons and shit, dude.
All the moons,
all of them.
I loved exploring too, and like the different outfits that you could get for Mario. Like, there's just something funny about running around in a sombrero the entire game.
The poncho and like the little flippers on and shit.
Yeah, just making it as ridiculous as possible.
Man, where do they go from here? What's the next mainline Mario? Do we get it on Switch? These are the questions that keep me up at night.
I don't even know.
It's so hard to tell because I still don't know what Nintendo's plans for the Switch are. Yeah. We gotta see what Zelda Tears of the Kingdom does first, and then it'll probably go from there.
I wonder if it's gonna be popular. I wonder if people are gonna buy it.
Yeah, okay, Nintendo stuff probably.
Yeah, man, these are good sequels. We've been talking about this, And I've noticed that a lot of games that we've talked about have been in the like PS3, Xbox 360, PS4 kind of era. Like, what was it about that time that made sequels so good and so prevalent? Because I feel like we don't really have big sequels anymore. Does that make sense?
For the most part.
I feel like it might have just been... I think developers had more time on their hands. Like, I don't know. It's weird now because it feels like everyone just has to make something new all the time.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Or they're just going to milk an old series till it's dead,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, because back in the day, you could have, like, there were so many games that, you could make, that they did make sequels for that didn't need a sequel, like Bioshock and Bioshock 2 and Infinite, Dishonored and Dishonored 2, and Darksiders and all that shit, which I wish I would have brought up Darksiders 2 because that's a great sequel as well.
There was less creativity, I think, then. Like, people were they had something that they were good with, and they kind of just stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now developers really want to be creative for whatever reason, which I mean is good, but at the same time, it's a little odd at the same time.
Yes. Okay. Anyone, any last words for sequels?
I'm throwing 2 in there. Shout out to Left 4 Dead 2, because that added melee weapons and a bunch of stuff. And whichever one I mentioned earlier that I really liked.
Darksiders
2. Yeah, that one was really good.
Okay. That's it. That's all the sequels. There are no more good sequels. Every other sequel that existed was bad. If you disagree with us and have a sequel that you liked, be sure to find us on the internet and comment on our Twitter or email us. Do whatever you have to do to tell us about what sequels you like. One more time, where can people find you and listen to you, Bill?
We've lost him.
Oh no, Aaron.
Clear.
Do you know where to find Bill and where people can listen to him?
There's a little profile on our website, linktr.ee/thebarberwhogames, and you can find all of his stuff like the 3DO experience and gaming and collecting and all that. And as for us, superpodsaga.com. That's where we are. It's where we'll always be.
Okay, and what is our...
Check out our Patreon.
Yes, check out the Patreon. And what are we going to talk about next week, Aaron? What's our next topic?
I got to make sure to shout out our patron, A Novel Console. They're super awesome. They've got a great variety podcast. They talk about books and video games and all that stuff. They're great. They're on Twitter at A Novel Console. How about next episode we talk about the best... Well, I guess not the best, but video game mascot or mascot character.
Oh, that's excellent. Yes.
So I want to talk about a lot of like ones that nobody ever talks about, like Wooden Willie or whatever the fuck.
You're going to educate me on all those. I'm going to be like, here's a 3-hour presentation on Crash Bandicoot. We're going to analyze his Pizza Hut commercials.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about their Pizza Hut commercials.
But look forward to that, fans. Thank you for listening. We love you all. Here's a big wet kiss from Aaron. Have a great day. Bye.
Yep. Goodbye. Bill also says bye.
Bill says bye, too.